Huh, I suppose it actually helps if I turn the mic on, huh? Okay, well, good morning. Hope everyone's doing fantastic on this last day of this absolute dumpster fire of a year. And, yeah, welcome to more of this thing. So yeah, since yesterday, kind of casually went and, ran this guy through, I think, like, what, 7 or 8 something random fights or whatever else. Picked up a bunch of random stuff, got the Beast Tamer up from 1 to 19, put the Swordmaster through one fight. That's really about it. So yeah, collected a bunch of random stuff and what have you, so let's go ahead and collect all of those things, or rather go sell all those things, because at this point it should be viable to continue on with the run, because that was the problem yesterday. I mean, time aside, there was no real good way to continue on forward because, well, brokenness happened. So yeah. Now, as far as new discoveries since last time, there really haven't been too many. Ended up getting, like, stat-wise, I think ended up getting about 1 or 2... Actually, no, I think I got, like, 4 or 5 total extra points and all that. So nothing too mind-blowing, but, you know, it's there. Ended up picking up quite a few extra range things, though. And I tried training bows for a little bit, and no, that's basically not going to happen unless it's passively training at this point. So I think what I'm going to do at some point, if we really, really want to use bows, I'm probably just going to go find... Maybe I'll just set it up in Tynemouth. Maybe I'll go set it up in the Wind Temple there, but just basically set up a tank build with Deflect and bows, and then just kind of let it sit there and grind it out until at least a finisher. Because until that one gets a finisher, even with this guy's high stats, it's still not enough to actually win a fight by itself. So yeah, you know, gotta give props to the balance there on that one. That giving a guy 20 stat points above everybody else can't really put out enough damage with a bow to just win the fight outright. At least at the lower levels. I'm sure once stuff starts scaling up, it'll end up doing a bit more, but at least from the levels that I was trying it at, it was just kind of a no-go. In fact, there's kind of a sweet spot, I'd say, probably about 6 to 8 or so, that it's probably possible to get away with something, but I didn't really see it as being too worthwhile to go set that up. Alright, probably shouldn't have sold the extra worm scale greaves, but that's fine, whatever. That is perfectly fine, we'll get more. It's really the armor and the helmet that are the big deal. As long as we have one pair of pants for ourselves, everything is nice and fantastic. So we're going to cap out on regular med leaves. How many can we have? 4 of these. We can actually cap out on these, fantastic. Alright, and then should probably go pick up more holy water. To think about where is the holy water? Why is oh, there we go. Yeah, we probably might as well spend the stack on that. So I think you can buy a new pair of worm scale leggings at Hot Topic next to the Ironic 90s cartoon t-shirts and the black eyeliner. Oh yeah, I saw it there, and I think it's like right next to the inexplicable giant pile of dildos they have in the back, which, yes, that is a thing. For anyone that's never been to a Hot Topic, for some reason, Hot Topics have, like, a sex toy thing at the back. Who knows? Apparently it's very edgy, but, I know that we were looking around for a gift for somebody a little while ago. We're just walking around, just hear, hey, you know, honey, come over here, look at this. There's just a giant wall of them in the back. You know, I never would have expected this to be in the store and next to an actual kid's toy store. See, 4:43 a.m. feels way too early to talk about Dragon Sex toys. I mean, yeah, it does. It really does. But, you know, there's a time and a place, and sometimes that time and place isn't available. But anyway, yeah, how are you doing this morning? And by the way, sorry if I woke you up with some notification or something like that. Today, it's just a one-off. It was originally going to be Fell Seal, actually, and then Steam is being a bit of a butt this morning, so... Screw it, that didn't happen. But yeah, they're probably gonna have more Fell Seal maybe next week, I'm thinking, if all goes well. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. See, Slack makes noise on my phone. Yep, sorry. Or never makes noise. Oh. Okay, well fine, I'm not sorry anymore. Okay, let's see here. Do we have a Tadao? Yeah, we do. Let's see, basically you can leave 100 messages on Slack and you're good. Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Alright, I don't think there's anything else we really want to buy here, unless there's anything spell-wise that might be... So inflict slow, inflict stun. It's worth picking these up, even if we're not really going to use them right now. Let's see, removes a debuff. There's no point at which this will actually be useful. So, like, if dances were an action move, this would be pretty nice, because you just remove a random debuff. Which, it's not completely random, it's like it kind of tears down different piles of stuff. But let's see, mastered that one, mastered that one, mastered that one. Yeah, so, as far as all that goes, we're pretty well and golden. Let's see, deals dark. Definitely worth picking that up. Let's see, Rhyme Raven. Rhyme Raven, no, because I tried specking out for ice and it didn't work out. Fire Snake is alright. Water, yeah, that's actually, I mean, despite how dorky that thing looks. Water, lightning. Is there any point at which I might do Earth? I mean, maybe. It's probably worth picking up most of these. It's just, yeah, it's kind of going to be situational one way or another. And in fact, instead of picking up more of those, why don't we pick up more of the consumables to make those things happen, especially paper dolls. I don't know when we might be making use of that, but it wouldn't hurt. So, there we go. A nice cool 20 grand just blown on nothing. But such is the case sometimes. So what I'm thinking today is actually Fire Temple. So Wind Temple went great last time. Fire Temple is the next one that's typically on the easier side due to lack of healers. So it's definitely going to be scaled up past 20, so it's probably not worth trying it with a Swordmaster. I kind of want to test a different build with the Warlock here, though. That's probably worth a try, but you know what? Let's start with the Knight. The thing has just been so consistent. I mean, the dude does not stop. It's great. Alright, so X-wise, the Rungan, of course. Let's see. Heavy... Do we go Heavy Shield or do we go Light Shield? I think we go Light Shield. Yeah, that's what it was. Light Shield, Heavy Armor, and then Flight Boots. So one piece of Heavy, everything else is non-heavy. But it's just enough to get that bulk going. So we get Axes, Augment Water, Augment Air. For that maximum Bear Claw action, right? So yeah, Bear Claw's Wind. So that works there. Need Parry. Do we need Overpower? Not really. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that Overpower has not been carrying the day. I really would have expected it to be more necessary for this run, but thankfully it's not the case. So stop words necessary, counter hit and siege, yes. Steadfast, not so much. What do we have in... I think we had Field Elk instead of Steadfast. Let's see... Do we have Field Elk? There we go. I feel like there's something else that we got rid of here for the other skill. Steadfast? I think we still had all this stuff. Yeah, that sounds right. This sounds right. So, okay, now we're basically back to being a magical flying Viking. Or I guess more of, they were still Vikings. Kind of, Byzantine Vikings, but whatever. Do your one and only job, Olivia. And she went from being the water one to being the fire one. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Now let's see if this is as good as I remember. See, it kind of comes down to what each of the different elements are going to be specializing in. Like the air one, they specialize in a lot of, you know, slowdown and sleep debuffs and things like that, which they used them. It's all well and good, but they don't really specialize in anything defensive. That's why the earth one's going to be a bit of a pain, because they've got a petrification, they've got defense increases, they've got Razorback, though I've never seen them actually using it. But they've got a lot of the defensive options. On the plus side, however, when it comes to each of these temples, none of them are specializing on the light side of things, so most of them won't have anything other than token healing around. Water might be a little bit of a pain because pretty much all of them are going to be running Purify. So that's going to be another one that's going to be relying on one-shots pretty much exclusively. We'll see how that goes. Out of curiosity, what is your parry, sir? And they rolled a 10%. Good to know. But there we go. I'm not really even seeing any healing on this map. Like, I think the knight was supposed to be their original healer. Thankfully, those are not the case anymore. Yeah, the Spellblade might have something if he's running the wrong element. But yeah, no, they're fine. They're perfectly fine. This is an attrition fight. Any attrition fights, we just win automatically. Just because they, like, with how much bulk this class has, and with the fact that they're not going to be coming in with what would probably be 5, well, they would need 4 two-handers on each side, plus multiple crossbows to be able to consistently out-damage the kind of bulk he's got going on. So there's that. Now, yeah, might as well go for this. Good. One knight, I guess, is inexplicably programmed to just sit there and guard. Not sure what his plan is, but that's alright. Maybe there's a story that him and this particular orc just didn't get along, so he's just sending the guy to his doom. Also, seems to be a lot of dark flying around for this fire elemental area. What a shame. Yeah, I'm glad the Blazing Grasp got changed to stun instead of curse. A, it's more useful. B, it's less annoying. That's fine. We're hobbled. These guys are just coming at us one by one anyway. It's perfectly fine. Now, the nice thing is that this is the best one. As far as drops go, I'm pretty sure this is the one with both Armorcraft and Shieldcraft. So let me actually pull up the guide here, double check. But I'm fairly certain of that one. Let's go to the Croth chart, which is in reality the consolidated change list, which has the nice graph. Here we go. Alright, so what do we got here? Temple of something or other. I don't actually know which temple it is. I should probably check that first. Let's get our strengthen going. See if any of these guys want to get close and start smacking away. However, I do know how to find out this one, because this is the one that actually has the Fusel in there. Or the Fusel Enchilada, rather. So it's Zoshnal. There we go. So 4th Descent has the gun. That's actually the flappy hat guy on the double staircase. What else do we have for Zoshnal? The Arm Guard is at the very end. Yeah, it also has axes, so beautiful on that one. So we can probably get a better axe. Right? No, yeah. That's where that one is, and what else do we have? Is that it? Yeah, gun, axe, arm guard. Okay, so that's not the one that I thought it was. So where the hell is Armorcraft? Oh, son of a dick. Armorcraft is in... Oh, it's in the center of Farampa. Shoot. That sucks, because, yeah, we need that one. Armorcraft is the big one. So, okay, I think after Fire Temple, then we'll probably just take a look at Farampa again, if there's time. Just for the hell of it, we're going to go ahead and leave these guys over here so they don't really interfere. Not that they've been doing too much, but, you know. In fact, I'm thinking possibly one good idea here might be to take a heal, and then perhaps fly up there and deal with the light units first. So we're going to hit with a whole lot of debuffs here. Let's see, Sweaty Palms. Sure is a real name for an ability that a translator decided was a good idea not to question. I mean, so far nobody's been able to give me a good idea for OB64, and it was supposed to be a direct translation for you to have an option to say that you offer up your lust to the Pope. Because surely that must have been something else, you know? I mean, most of the other ones seem like they fit. It just seems like such an oddly specific, you know, just thing sitting there. You never know. You never know. Maybe they were just feeling particularly lonely that day. Somebody was looking at church like, oh man, those statues though. Who knows? Although, that being said, somebody actually did make a song about that. So, again, with the you never know. Let's see, you don't know those old Greek and Roman gods? Yeah, also makes sense. Also makes sense. By the way, if you don't know what I mean about that song, there's a song called, And Then I Noticed That She Was a Gargoyle. It's exactly what it sounds like. Let's see, those intro questions feel like Platinum's version of Mad Libs. It is, and honestly, I wish every game had them. I mean, they added some stuff. Oh man, I wonder if we can get a new Vegas mod made. That's for the questions at the very start of the game. It's like, oh, what do you see in this ink blot? Lust. As nobody on the internet even gets the joke. See, those are the best ones. The ones that are so far down the rabbit hole that you can't even tell which direction's up anymore. What will you sunder from this land? Now, ducks. No, that's Dink Smallwood. Oh man, I should totally do that one at some point too. It was hilarious. Go add the Cult of the Dead Dragon Carcass to one of these runs. Once again, on that pile of just weirdly specific crap nobody's gonna recognize. Although, funnily enough, apparently Dink Smallwood actually did come out on, like, the SNES or something. So it does get to count as classic. It's just really bizarre that something like that actually officially came out. I mean, for reference, we're talking about a game where anytime you see a duck or a chicken, you can just run up and kick its head off, and it runs around squirting blood everywhere. It's pretty awesome. I mean, you're basically playing as a pig farmer that, well, he's trying to get laid and tries to basically decides he's gonna go join the army, but somebody else beats him to it. So then he decides to go punch an acorn tree, which somehow results in accidentally incinerating his mom in his house. So then he decides to go become an adventurer. And yeah. It's just a series of misadventures for quite a while. It's like a weird mix of comedy and messed up horror, is the best way I can describe it. Because stuff gets weirdly dark in that one. Like, honestly, especially the last level of the main game did legitimately freak me out as a kid. Because you get to a place that's basically hell. Everything's all just completely nonsensical. There's a bunch of enemies that shouldn't even be there. You find your character's own dead corpse in one case, and it's just like, what the hell is this even doing here? It's interesting. It's interesting. Also, thank you for the follow there. Appreciate it. It's a moody man. So I kind of brain farted on the name for a second. Alright, so we're fully set up for a strengthened bear claw on this guy next round. We shouldn't need any other healing or whatever else. We're pretty much solid here. This archer's gonna get one shot. There's nothing he can do about it. Yeah, I don't think these temples will be too much of a thing. Let me see if the Earth Temple even has it. Because I know Earth Temple has the dagger, so let me see. So that's Vasa. Because that's the one that you have to exercise a rogue. I know that much. Actually, I think he might have replaced them with a living version now. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. No, we totally got to do that one actually, because that's the one with the bodyguard or body armor enchilada. So you just wanted to stop by and say your YouTube videos are great and you're completely insane in terms of difficulty? Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I always find these weird challenges fun. Let's see, 355, or we can 218 this guy, or we can strengthen and hopefully just one-shot him. We shall see. Yeah, I don't know. If doing weird challenges and stuff tends to give that nice feeling of freshness to just about everything. I mean, I'm trying to think. There really aren't too many games that you can't make feel fresh with the right challenge. It's just a matter of finding the right one. It's not the same ones won't work for everything. Speaking of old YouTube videos, I can't believe you pulled off the ferry run but failed the griffin run. To be fair, that was kind of... For the ferry run, I had a run in mind. Like, I had a full route planned out and everything else. The griffin run was kind of just like, well, I guess I'm gonna go do this now. And then, you know, that went about as well as you'd expect. So I do plan to redo that one at some point. Plus, also, it should be noted that, you know, ferries have actual recovery options. The griffins have... I mean, they're fast. They can overwhelm, like, one guy, and then they die. So, there's that. Also, they've actually been updated quite a bit, and technically speaking, if we're doing the entire series with griffins, I should probably do the vanilla version for that. In which case, it is a completely different ballgame, and I do mean that quite literally, because it would turn into a ballgame of chucking boulders and everything, and I want to do that. So, I think the plan will be, if we're doing the Griffin run, we'll do the same thing. We'll start off with Knight of Lotus, then go to March of the Black Queen, then Locked, then, you know, then going from there. Hello there, Mr. Brokout. Good morning. Hope you're having a good one. And yeah, I realize I should have gone and finished that one guy off down there. That's fine. That's fine. We'll deal with it. I mean, they're not really overwhelming us or anything here. And this guy just decided to feed us some free damage. Why not? So basically, Griffins have Boulder Toss and that weird Vampire Finch ability where they heal and damage at the same time. Yep. Bloodbath. Headcanon is the Valerian Isles Griffins are Vampire Finches because of that weird blood-suck ability. Not many birds drink blood. I always just figured they were biting off a limb or something. I mean, they've got some pretty nasty-looking beaks. Alright, this guy's still in our phalanx here, so he should be able to move. We'll probably just go for the punch. That's another cool thing about, or not phalanx, dang it, I'm already... See, I was mentally in the headspace of doing a Fell Seal today. But no, if you have them locked into your area there, you can prevent them from running away, but we didn't do that. This might be a perfect opportunity for that big explosion move, and not anymore. He's behind. Darn. Darn. Can we get a turn now, please? Thank you. Just IP you, I suppose. Yep. Yeah, I could have saved the claw for somebody else, but I just wanted that guy gone. Even though he's not necessarily the biggest issue. But whatever, he's fine. But, you know, in terms of, like, vanilla Griffins and stuff like that, I would say they're quite a bit stronger than a few other versions. Like, the OV ones are faster, but a lot of their benefits come from just the fact, like, a lot of it comes down to context, actually, is a better way to put that. Because when, like, when you have basic game Griffins, they're pretty dang strong, they're pretty darn bulky, and they're pretty fast. Their only thing is, the Bloodbath is their only recovery move. Sorry there, like a random burp thing happened. This guy's a douche with these Leddens. It's kind of annoying. So when playing solo, how do you beat fights with multiple healers? Surely you get out sustained. Oh yeah, no, I mean, you can't sustain what's already dead. That's the best rule of thumb there. Like, this particular build actually came up to deal with some of the weird crap that we were seeing with multiple healers. So why did I re-up Strengthen? I mean, we're still fine, it's just weird that I re-up Strengthen in there. So for example, the bandit fight from a couple parts ago ended up just getting lucky with getting a counter crit and then following up with with just finishing off that healer. So one potential way is to set up a case where all of their units already have full health, and so they'll go for an attack if they're in the right position. Usually this is when they're sitting behind you, so if they feel like they'll be able to get a hit, especially since they use cudgels and stuff now, they'll usually go for it. So if they've got a stick, there you go, there's your answer right there. If they don't, then potentially a double hit might be the way to do them in, especially if you get a counter first. If not, spreading poison around. It's like if you go and throw poison around all over the map, just kind of distract them with that. Might potentially work. Like, it's kind of situational. Like, sometimes you just lock them away and make sure they're not an issue. Like, sometimes you put them behind a phalanx wall, or stick them behind a barricade, or just, shackle them or something like that. Usually that one, especially when running solo, isn't necessarily too good. But either way, it's situational. It's come up quite a few times. Oof. Okay, this guy is definitely putting in some business here. He's trying to make this happen. Will he parry? No, he won't. I mean, it probably wasn't worth the risk there, because we would have thrown the entire fight if he parried, but hey, sometimes you gotta feel like something dumb is a good idea. Save that one there. Let me make sure there's nothing on first descent, because I want to say there's one here. So we've got Axe on the final boss here. We've got what else? We've got Arm Guard on the final boss. So what do we actually have? Yeah, Fusilier Shooting is 4th. Is there really nothing else? I could have sworn there was another one here. Yeah, no, apparently it's just the gun on the 4th. Yeah, but yeah, in the vanilla version of this game, you could kind of completely out-heal them, because you could usually be running 600-700 health by the end of the game, and you could just go make the full heal items. So, since it was 100% health, you could just go take hundreds of damage, usually parry and counter everything like crazy. That's why I was running a spear build. And then yeah, once all is looking a little bit dicey, you just kind of throw out some action moves and throw out a full heal, and you're pretty much good to go. Especially running like shield and dagger was especially good at that one, because you could get so many. Well, you could shrug off just about anything. There's not really you could get so many anything. You can just shrug off damage like nobody's business. Thankfully, these temples are really, really gimmicky, so they'll usually just throw out a bunch of specials for their particular element, but nothing too scary. Rude. Rude with that 25%. So I'm thinking what we do, we just pull these guys a little bit to the left, deal with all of their nonsense. Probably going to be taking a finisher next round from this guy. So I want to try and give him as few opportunities to deal with that as possible. Not scared of the ninjas or rogues there whatsoever. Caster guy might get a little bit annoying. There's really just not much that many of the temple crews can do, because they run a lot of archers, because obviously archers were pretty busted in the vanilla game. They're still usually pretty strong in one vision. However, this build pretty much hard counters them. Just because we've got reasonably high evasion, we've got enough bulk to be able to withstand crossbows, so that's fine. I mean, casters can occasionally do some stuff, but they're inconsistent. Let's see, that guy's going for his Fearful Impact. We need that to go away. That's unfortunate. It's a pretty smart play on the part of the AI. Let me double check this. Yeah, so one thing that came up last time is what this guy's running right here. That any build or any classes that can use blowguns can also use them as a debuff shield. So that's pretty handy there as well. So I'd say the real main challenge of this run is when it comes to multiple shutdown abilities that come in at one time. It's like right now we are immune to stun, stop, shackle, and bind, but I don't have anything to deal with petrification yet. So that's probably the reason that I may not be able to do the Earth Temple yet, but we'll see. Can we just hit this guy and call it good? No. Darn. I mean, I guess he's lined up over here. I might as well see if we can go for the Infinity. Yeah, that'll be enough to finish him. That'll be enough to hurt that guy. Perfect. This is what Infinity is for. Taking a pause from RP Gamers, streaming Felseal going into the new year. Interested to see what she thinks of it, since she loves OB64 and FL Tactics, and but hates TO/March of the Black Queen. Well, I'm pretty sure she'd still love it, because it's got a whole lot of both of the first two, and not a whole lot of the second ones, though it's a little bit interesting to see that combination, because usually you see folks liking FFT and TO, but then not liking the Ogre battle formula. Did they try both TOs? So there we go. Sleep got replaced with Silence. I think I might just take an early heal here because I want to take that card, provided it's still an opportunity. So you never heard of her talking about KOL, so not sure. Because yeah, it's like TO can mean a lot of different things right now. So it might mean the original SNES version with all of its save corruption jank. It might mean the PS1 or Saturn version, which I personally still stand by being far better. Could potentially be the remake, which understandably a lot of folks weren't sure about what seemed like MMO mechanics. Man, this guy's RNG with that sleep dart is amazing. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of potential ways that could go. Could mean Knight of Lotus, could mean One Vision. Or maybe they had deep-seated fear of poison, and they just wanted the two games where poison isn't very good. The mysteries. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just comparing some damage scenarios here. I mean, we're going to be going for this guy. I mean, it has to be done. He's toast, but yeah, Bear Claw should be able to one-shot most of these guys. Some very specific scenario going on with this thing. See, I feel like some people could March of Black Queen's weird Skull, Squid, Zerg, Speed, Charisma stuff, or TO's class leveling instead of leveling into a class that's valid. Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly fair. It's weird. It's definitely unusual and quirky and whatever else. And even when recommending TOPSP to people, I'm like, you know, there's a lot of cool mechanics here. Just so you know, the leveling is weird. It has its merits, just give it a chance. Because honestly, I hated that mechanic for so long, and it's because I didn't know a lot of the background stuff, and honestly, that's entirely on the game for not mentioning that stuff. Like, at no point did it bother to mention that you were getting base stats in the background, at no point did it mention how you're supposed to be potentially cheesing all that stuff. I mean, yeah, that's kind of some metagame stuff that would have been mentioned there, but they could have mentioned it in the guides. There's quite literally entire sections of this game that are just different mechanical guides and whatever else. And they explain the most obscure and unnecessary stuff, but they don't explain things that you actually might know. Like, they never explain... I don't believe they ever cover things like parry or deflect or overpower, or how they work. They don't seem to cover base stat leveling or anything like that. However, they give you entire different pages explaining how the class works, as well as different types of elevation interactions when it comes to using beasts as stairs. It's odd. Alright. Well, let's roll for the crit, I guess. Didn't get it. And then one thing I can do here is potentially lock off our sides so we don't necessarily have to get attacked from multiple angles. I'm pretty sure we can take it, but I don't want to risk it. Beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful, and I think... Hang on, is that avoidance or is that MP? Intelligence, beautiful. Okay. Definitely good to see intelligence. Not right now, but down the road, when we get Lord and that kind of thing, it will be useful to have access to the big elemental abilities and all that. I forget if Lord can actually use them at this point. It's probably something that would have been worth checking in the background, but I did not do that, so yeah. Oops. Oh, hang on. Something's going on in the background. One moment. Okie dokie. And back. Interesting children's scenario going on in the background there. 'Cause yeah, over here it's still dark. They're not meant to be up yet. And I'm not entirely sure how this came up. But my son is sitting there in the middle of the room. Daddy, I need my doggy, and he has his little dog toy. He has this little Dalmatian toy, which we have tried coming up with replacements for that Dalmatian toy. We've even gotten the identical version of that Dalmatian toy. And, you know, tried to see if we could maybe wash his original Grody one without causing any issues. Yeah, no, he somehow always knows which one it is, but any dang ways. What I was getting at is, yeah, he's looking for this toy, and it's literally just right in front of him. He just didn't want to look down. So he's getting mad about that. My daughter needs something to be mad about because she got woken up, so she's looking over. She's like, no, I don't want this thing in my bed, and she's got a finger puppet for some reason. Ah. The adorable wildness of toddlers. But anyway. They definitely need to sleep another hour or so. Them dealies are tired. Don't take my bag. Good. You know, I'm starting to wonder if it's birds that are specifically programmed to go for loot bags. Sounds like chaos. I mean, how so? That's how it goes with kids. Stuff just sort of happens, and you deal with it. I can really bone certain toys. Oh yeah, oh yeah, it's hilarious. Like, honestly, my my son there cannot function in any remotely happy capacity if there isn't a ball in the room. Sometimes he'll decide to go put the little dog toy down, but if there isn't a ball in the room, it's just not a good room. It doesn't get to exist as a room. I mean, it might as well just get erased. That room is a sad room. But, man, now kids are fun. It definitely changes the dynamics of absolutely everything in your life. Which was, like, the funny part is, whenever they come up with scenarios and movies and whatever else, and they're like, oh, you know, the kids' main issue is going to be their expenses and the diapers, and it's never the expenses directly of like what they eat and whatever else, or diapers directly. Like the whole diaper thing is kind of blown out of proportion, but it's usually the other stuff that gets to be expensive. Like let's see, one of the best scenarios. Like, okay, car seats. Those aren't necessarily covered by a lot of different, programs, because most states have programs to help parents and whatever else, in which as soon as the hospital knows you're pregnant and they start going and setting up appointments and whatever else, they're like, okay, here's this, that, or the other. You automatically qualify. They'll help cover this, that, or the other, and here's just like a mountain of resources to help with all this. But then, oops, that's not great. Hang on, let's see. What's a good move here? I think we'll just go take out... Can we maybe just do this? No. Alright. I at least need one of these guys gone, and then we'll deal with the fight next round. But yeah, so there's a lot of help that comes with kiddos in most cases. It's specifically some of the oddly specific stuff that doesn't always get covered. Like, as soon as they start going to school and whatever else, the school starts showering them in toys and whatever else. They start, pretty much cover most of, like, food expenses and a lot of other stuff like that. But, when it comes to their medical, or a lot of their medical stuff and things like that, for some reason, those ones aren't. But, I'm trying to think of specific examples, but I'm kind of brain farting right now. So we'll just go ahead and forget that particular topic. Type right there. God, it's annoying when that happens. So then you feel like an idiot for the whole rest of the day, because then as soon as the stream's done, you have the perfect example, and then you wonder why your brain couldn't think of it at the time. But, oh well. These guys just want to keep spamming sleep. Out of curiosity, by the way, is it currently stuttering for anyone? Just slightly on certain cells. No, it would have been a more noticeable stutter. I'm mostly asking because I'm wondering if there's any correlation between the time that my PC randomly starts opening and closing its CD tray, which you might be able to hear in the background, and the times when it has slowed down. Because granted, this thing is old. Like it's old. I've replaced this, that, or the other on it for a while now. But yeah, no, it's still got weird stuff that I just can't explain on it. Because I've tried running all kinds of different tests. I've tried pretty much changing every part of it, but for some reason some jank still remains. Like, if it stays doing nothing for... sometimes it's a couple hours, sometimes it's 10 minutes. It'll just randomly crash and refuse to restart. But sometimes you just get weird stuff, like right now it just keeps opening and closing the CD tray. There's no seemingly obvious reason for it, it just kind of does that. Also, I would really like this guy to stop rolling 60% if he could be kind enough to do that. I think we're just going to go ahead and roll the risk here. Yeah, just take the sun card. Hopefully our next turn will be fast enough, because these guys will each get 2 turns, more than likely. Parry or block. Come on, don't get hit by everything. Good. Good. What's this guy gonna do? That's fine. Then the other guy's probably just gonna cast again. Okay, we should be fine. Let's see. Weirdly, it didn't when you use the Infinity Finisher, which looked awesome. Yeah, it's not like, this isn't emulation, so it shouldn't have any issues graphically. Pretty much everything is going to be on the PC side, because it's basically streaming off of a Vita via a USB cord. So it shouldn't have any issues as far as graphics slowing anything down. Ooh, a Holy Crown. Okay, that's a unique. Perfect. We can do some stuff with that. I think that actually gives us Silence Proof, so that might be useful for a Lord build later. But, let's see. Hello, guy. Goodbye, guy. Enjoy turning into a bag. But yeah, like, on the emulator, we'd definitely be having emulation, or, weird issues with all that stuff they mentioned there. Do we just bind him there, or Bear Claw? Okay, Bear Claw's guaranteed. Eclipse catch up to him, because he can't go anywhere anyway. And this is why I love the Bear Claw setup so much, because like Drive and Cut, you need TP+, so you're automatically taking an extra thing there. So this could be scaled up another 200. It could do like 500 damage if we wanted to. But, that said, because 275 is the maximum, it's going to be about another 100 points. So actually it would end up being like 450, give or take. But that being said, you know, we can do more than that with the Bear Claw, plus it only takes 100. Normally you can't do this, but I think we've just collected so many strength cards that the game doesn't even care anymore. So there's that. I was getting told off by by the guy from China again. The challenge runner from China. So we'll be doing Sheena's run, by the way, the whole Iron Man run thing after this. Or like after this particular run is finished, because he keeps coming up with new rules for it and whatever else. There's really only one rule on it that I completely disagree with, because personally I think it's way too complicated. Ooh. Wait a minute. Have we been scaling the wrong thing again? We've got air, we've got like... Dipstick, would you use the right thing? That's why we've been doing such low damage. This is what I mean, like, this thing absolutely owns even without the right skills equipped. That's crazy. There we go. But yeah, we're starting to escape the rules of the game a little bit, which is pretty darn handy. We'll see what kind of abilities we can learn out of this. See, the one thing is I want to make sure to do the Water Temple. It's going to be the hardest one more than likely, because they've got a whole lot of recovery. But as long as we're able to use these... Yeah, the basic wizard guys, the Astromancer can use it. I think Lord can use it too, but I'm not sure. Obviously we haven't unlocked it yet. But we will get there. And since it's only 30, I mean, I'm thinking probably after this we'll be starting to train caster classes a little bit. Int is still fairly low-ish compared to the other stuff on this one, but I feel like it'll be handy in a lot of cases. Alright, so this is another one that we just kind of curb stomp through. They do mostly come at you one at a time. They've got a cool-looking map, it's just they don't really, they're kind of all over the place, so whatever. And if we use boots, then we don't have to get in range of the gun guy until next round, hopefully. Oh, and for anyone curious, it's been asked multiple times if potentially activation items can be used as a active skill. Unfortunately, that would basically require... Well, for one thing, it would be impossible to add new action skill slots. So, basically, other stuff would have to be removed. And then it would basically count as... It would basically be using two slots for the same skill. So yeah, you'd just be losing content overall. Oh, crap. Parry, 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 parry. Ah, you suck. Well, that's fine. I guess we'll just deal with that. We sure have a surprising amount of Terranites here running all kinds of dark stuff for the fire area, but whatever. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't make sense, but we'll pretend it does. Whatever, let's take some pieces off the board. What's this, another agility card? I think Sun's agility. Yeah, it is. Yeah, going on 11 years with this game, I still haven't memorized what each of the stat cards do. I know most of them. It's just, yeah, not all of them. I mean, I'd say I can pretty much guess them with about 80% odds. Kind of mitigating our armor right now, because we've got both Frighten and Breach. So you've got Frighten that's lowering our overall damage threshold, and Breach that's increasing damage scaling. So it's not amazing, but it's there. Yeah, this guy's just going to live it out with just a few points. Rude. Now, I also have asked Brakes on multiple occasions whether it be possible to shield bash people into lava, which unfortunately no. There's been the discussion over turning lava into basically like a bottomless pit tile, but then that would also remove the ability to do lava walk, supposedly. So, I mean, if it could work, that'd be amazing, but it sounds like it can't. I don't remember where that discussion left off now that I think about it. Alright, is Driving Kick can do more against this guy? Not really, but it will slow him down, so that's more worthwhile this time. Since Frighten's gone, we've got our armor back, so the Breach doesn't even matter, because we should have enough armor and vitality to withstand pretty much anything. Tremendous is going to hit regardless, because we don't have Deflect. So that's fine, but we're really only getting pushed around by that. It's not going to do anything too serious. Even Firestorm 3 is not doing too much anymore. It's very realistic that by this point we've got enough cards and possibly gotten enough good build viability going that we might be able to do Farampa. Because the thing is, it's not like their stats are amazing. The thing with Farampa is just that there's so dang many of them. So, I don't know, we'll see. Let's just shield smack this guy over here so nobody's trying to take his whatever he drops. There we go. with those summons never doing anything. I mean, whether you disagree with it or agree with it, whatever else, the summons were interesting with how they worked. Because it was always either they instantly kill you or they do nothing. Rude. And you do realize all you're really doing is, like, wasting 20 points, right? Alright, so I'm thinking maybe our best bet here is just going to be back up a little, take that bag. Throw the siege back up there. That should give us a little bit more punch if it comes to it, and should hopefully distract... Ooh, beautiful! Okay, we got a dragon scale, so basically we don't need the dragoon anymore. Because now that we have that, we can, if we need to, at any point we can swap out the wing boots for either the helmet or the leggings, and we've got Dragon Slayer. So now we absolutely have to win this one, there's no excuse. But this is why I was going for the temples, because there's a really good chance of getting unique stuff here. I mean, it's not... Okay, when I say unique, I mean unique in terms of unique for us, more or less. We got the thing. Let's throw that out there. I still need to retreat some more and recover. Not too far. That should be good. Because I need that archer to be out of the way. Because that archer will eventually lead to lead. Will eventually lead to other issues. Like the JPEG layout, yeah, that was one that, or the Deneb picture there is one that Rakes came up with for Christmas, and I just thought, you know, this would look really funny if it was posed right here, so there's that. Also, I guess it's Brimstone Hail, not Leaden. I could have sworn he had the lightning bow. Maybe I'm just as observant as a goldfish today. That's realistic. But yeah, the one right after this one is the one where we have to hopefully get the spawn with the Fusilier, which will then give us access to the gun book, which would basically mean that we probably don't need the original one anymore. So I don't remember this exactly, but so with the original one, I believe you get access to the class marks, which we can actually get. So here's what I'm thinking. Basically, shield bash over there, put a phalanx over there. Yeah, we could have just attacked them. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But. So we can actually get access to the class marks, even though we don't have the crafting book, because pretty much everything from the crafting book can be gotten from one of the random maps. So the Lufa Coast, just like most of the maps, has different encounters depending on which direction you're approaching it from. So if you're approaching it from Grimsby, there is a spawn of up to 3 Fusiliers from Zenobia, of all places, that will potentially drop class marks and will potentially drop guns. So, you know, there's that. Also, we're going to change things up a little bit here and prevent this guy from running away. There we go. Sure sucks to be an archer that can't fire, huh? But okay. So from here, we'll go forward. We'll probably break down probably the forward phalanx. I really wish that guy would stop nailing that 60%. That's really annoying, considering we keep missing 70s. Alright. That's okay, though. So far, so good. They don't have any recovery options. So there's really nothing too bad going on here. We've got the last piece of the dragon set, as far as we need it anyway. And let's go ahead and drop the phalanx. They're probably over here. Prevent him from running away. And okay, and more resistance, as if we don't already have enough of that. As all these spells are just bouncing right off. Because yeah, resistance is basically like vitality for magical stuff, and as you can see, it's all just completely plinking off. Yeah, as he nails yet another 60%. Come on now. This guy has one shot, basically single-handedly taken on entire armies, but this one relatively weak little spell-casting blob thing is just terrifying him for some reason. Okay, wait, why am I doing that? I can just run around this thing. Yeah, that works. Let's put up siege. I accidentally created something awesome here. Even tier 3s are just doing nothing. This is pretty awesome. Alright, that's not gonna work anyway. Alright, so I'm gonna take a heal in the front line here. And what I want is for them to pile up in that area in front. I want this guy to hopefully probably take a punch or something. And then we're going to just spam Infinity until we can get across this dang bridge. And provided they decide to stand on it, otherwise we're just going to bear claw this guy in front. Alright, I guess we're going the bear claw route. Alright, that is, what, 7 or 8? 60% in a row? Starting to doubt those odds, sir. Yeah, that's fine. So instead of being a benefit, Siege is kind of just making up for the fact that we got the big scare going on. And once it wears off, and once this guy gets hit with Breach, we should be able to one-shot him. That's part of what makes this build so good. Is it kind of just comes down to a couple pieces ticking into place. Nothing too complicated, and something that can reliably happen, so we get the hit. It's about a 35% chance to breach, so as soon as that pop lands, we get an additional 20% damage against them, and we can just trigger strengthen at any point for another additional 20% damage. If we eventually found a way to work in terror and all of that, we'd get... Well, it's unclear exactly what it would be, because it kind of reduces damage threshold by 20%, which is kind of its own little thing. Does this even... Wow, that's not even worth it. Yeah, take another heal, because we're still busy pissing our pants over here. Or attempting to escape from the sea of yellow in our pants, as was said last time. Weekend and Breach again. Okay, at least they're using fire abilities, finally. There we go. See, I think part of that is because Dark was given a damage bonus a while ago. So I think when this temple ends up getting redone, we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of that. Because it's gotten its drops redone to some degree, but it hasn't gotten everything redone. Basic heal and wait. We're getting counters all the same. Come on, Frighten. I am really tired of you being there. And yeah, this build is almost self-sustaining. All it really needs is healing items, so it's a fairly cheap investment. Panacea isn't usually that required. Oh, there, level notes. Thank the hosty dealy. You have hosted it with yourself. Alright. Alright, is Frighten gone now? Can we stop taking damage and start dealing it? This guy keeps going for the disarm that's not going to do anything. There we go. Frighten's gone. Dude guy is gone. Finally, we can start making some progress here. Alright. Yeah, they've basically got nothing now. The only reason that we were getting threatened there is just because of Frighten. I know I've mentioned this a few times, but for anyone that missed it, Frighten lowers thresholds. It's unique in that particular respect. So while it does feel like it functions similarly to strengthen, weaken, breach, fortify, all that kind of thing, it is using its own mechanics. So, yeah, neat. Alright, let's put siege up to give him something else to do. And since he's a Spellblade, he's mostly just going to sit here spamming that over and over. I have no idea why the hell they came in here with Divine. He should have had Fire. Why does he not have Fire? This is all still vanilla loadouts, so can't blame the mod for that one. Alright, now we're cursed. Beautiful. Honestly, it's not even a bad thing. That's cool. What are odds anyway? That was basically maximum possible evasion in that scenario. Oh, hang on a moment. Okie doke, and back. Yeah, that was another funny one. Get called over to the kids' room again. See my daughter there with their Apple TV remote. Which, by the way, funny note, them things not as expensive as you might think. Anyway, so sitting there holding the remote, I was like, Dad, I don't want it. You should take it. I'm like, why did you take it off the TV in the first place then? Who wakes up in the middle of sleeping, goes, takes the remote, and then decides they don't want it? But anyway, which, by the way, side note, Apple TV remotes absolutely suck. Those things are just dumb. Alright, let's see. How many times you played the whole game? Many times. This is going on the 11th year that I'm actually challenge running this thing. Most of that was for vanilla, but yeah, the last, like, I think it's going on 4 years now for One Vision. I mean, it's been a mix of vanilla and One Vision, but, you know, for the most part, it's OV. Alright, these guys apparently discovered all of their damage, so that's nice. I think what we want to do is maybe move over here, get out of their range, build up a finisher, then go in, take out the first guy. They're really pulling out all the stops to try and wrap this up here. Because this guy isn't doing jack for actual damage, it's all this warlock. As you might have been able to tell, Draconics hit like a truck. We've gone through this entire fight with barely a scratch, and then all of a sudden this guy's just whipping out all the damage. So yeah, Draconics are weird in that if you see a mage running Draconic, it basically means they've got multiple damage types available to them, so they work a little bit like a Sphinx from OB64, in which they'll always have whatever's the most effective against you. So, like, Draconics in particular have that weird effect where they are actually scaling as if they were a weapon. Or rather, they scale off the weapon. Which, again, just basically means they're doing weapon damage, but it's elemental. So there's that. Actually, wait, do we want to do that? No. What we want to do is move over here, see if we can maybe block this guy from doing more missile moves, maybe? Does that help at all? Let's see, it would force the gunner to move side to side, so he couldn't take as many direct shots. Might scatter them a little bit. Might mean the Draconic guy has to... Yeah, then he can't go in. He's going to be able to get an attack on us at this round, but not next round. Alright, that's fine. And then that guy must be running a pike or something that he keeps being unable to counter. Melta keeps landing. It just goes to show you their accuracy in the late game, that our avoidance is already almost double what it should be in the base game, or not in the base game. It should be almost double what it normally would be in the mod. And all the same, you know, he's getting all that through. But okay, so in terms of how many times I played the game, so casually, I think I went through it like a dozen or so times over the years, and then most of it's been challenge runs, so let's see. The first one I ever tried was just going for specific classes. That ended up having its downsides, just because... So when it comes to specific classes in this game, obviously it's all doing class scaling, so you kind of had to pair them up to specific types of classes and then just stick to exclusively using their skills. It basically became a no base stat leveling run, which you can actually just use cheats for these days. So, like, the mechanics of it made it a little weird to challenge run, so it was usually like gimmicks of some kind, so no skills, or guns only, or only a particular weapon type, or, you know, a solo, or say, you know, you can't use this, that, or the other. You know, no healing. Did the whole no KOs run because the game has that as a title. I don't know what sadistic bastard put that in there as one of the titles you can get, because it sucks. Like, the no KO run is the dumbest possible challenge run for this kind of game. Like, where it's so chaotic that you just randomly have a unit get knocked out for some stupid thing like 3 crits in a row that knocked him off a cliff. I mean, it's one of those scenarios that you can't really prepare for, and it's kind of annoying when the game's saying, hey, you know, we know that you pulled off the last, like, 400 battles or whatever else without a KO, but this is the one that gets the title taken away. Have fun with that, bye. You know, that kind of stuff. Alright, so now let's see if we can go in and get this thing done. Gunner guy shouldn't be doing very much. We can just block him. He's gonna keep throwing out the Melta. We just might as well accept permanent breach status at this point. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see if we can maybe push our way through here. Yeah, in recent years, there have been more interesting runs developed, I think. So, for example, you know, things like the Stubborn Wretch Challenge, or just going in with only monster classes, which you couldn't do in the original game. I mean, at least not without cheats. Actually, you can't do without cheats in this version either, so what am I saying? Let's just say more cheats and other resources were developed. Alright, this Warlog is just the worst. Screw this guy. Alright, as soon as he's gone, we're done here. Everything about him is just dickery. Put out a phalanx. I just want to get my bear claw, get this dude finished off, and I'm sick of his nonsense, and then we'll be good. Oh, by the way, one run I wouldn't recommend, but is technically possible for anyone that's curious. You can get through the entire game doing poison only. Where you literally only do poison damage. And by the way, I think I mentioned this a few parts ago, but theoretically, a pacifist run is doable. See, the problem with the pacifist run in before wasn't necessarily the fact that the player had to get kills, which technically you kind of do, but at the very start of the game, you automatically get a certain amount of kills because you are not part of your own faction yet. So, technically speaking, you see, like, you see Land and all them start off as blue, and you start off as yellow. Well, any kills you do count for yellow, and any kills they do count for blue, so that basically counts as the kill count for the game. So yeah, I'm thinking theoretically, if it's done in such a way where they never get a chance to move, if a potentially consistent route can be come up with for that, well, then it should be theoretically possible to do this entire game pacifist. But we'll see. The only exception being Dorgy, because I'm not sure how you'd really pull that one off pacifist. He doesn't really have any help or whatever else going on past his first phase. So I'm pretty sure the second one would still count. But almost every boss could potentially be locked into a box, and then... nice. And then potentially finished off using using their own units and things like that. I mean, it would be a really fun run to pull off. It's just a matter of getting that start going. Alright. Can we just one-shot this guy and... yeah. Dead. Maybe even drop a card, the inconsiderate bastard. Get some increased loyalty to ourselves. By the way, it's Bewitch that causes our loyalty to drop constantly. We've gotten hit by that a few times. So as soon as that becomes a non-issue, then we won't see loyalty drops anymore. It doesn't really affect anything. Nothing scales off loyalty, as far as I'm aware anyway. So we'll just flap our way up here and get this thing done. Yeah, I'm just seeing glare right now. Again? You're serious? That is over a dozen times in a row that crap has landed. That RNG is some BS, I gotta say. Alright, let's just get rid of fear. Put a freaking phalanx behind this guy so he can't run anymore. Yeah, I know he can still run left. That's fine. Siege up. I'm probably going to hit him with the slowdown move. Yeah, that does so much, but this will slow him down. Alright, make that 13 times in a row that crap has landed. Yeah, it's locked at 60%, by the way. For anyone curious, it doesn't rank up in this version. So it doesn't have parry or anything else. So if we go here, we should be able to just finish him off. Or not. No, we still gotta deal with this crap. Okay. Fine, one more healing item. Fine. Alright. That's such a waste. Spent all those fights gathering up all these materials, and we gotta spend them all on dealing with this guy. Alright, are we going for 14? And... oh, wow! It actually manages to miss. Holy crap. 40% manages to roll. Who knew? As he survives with 3 health. Awesome. And for some reason, despite the fact that we actually were shown next in the turn order, he got a turn anyway. Weird. Anyway, there we go. Done deal. Next fight. So the next one's the one with the gun, and then after... wow, that's garbage. After we get the gun book, then it's just the boss. Actually, no, it's Third Descent, then it's gun book. Hopefully Third Descent won't take as long. This is taking longer than it should. I mean, given that there's probably going to be a break, I might just... like, if this ends up taking too long, I'm probably just going to off-screen it and then go back to the other prep I was planning to do for the rest of it. And then we would start next part in Farampa. Yeah, this particular one I remember being relatively quick. In fact, I probably should have slapped on the Dragon Slayer stuff here. Oh well. Actually, because of the fact that we got that shield, it might make the lightning one the next spot after this. Because lightning's the one with the dragon boss, but the dragoon. I mean, the dragoon's good. It's just it doesn't have access to some of the stuff that the knight does. So we rely on phalanxes for a lot of things, and yeah. In fact, well, I guess that guy just blocked off that opportunity. That healer is going to be all the way down there. He's going to start working his way up here. I'm thinking... yeah, I'm thinking we'd drop some delay tactics here, so... phalanx here. Start moving this way. And we'll drop another phalanx on the other end of this tile. Should prevent them from crossing on this end. So hopefully we can drag them all into both layers of that phalanx, leave everybody clumped up down here, take them all out going around the opposite edge of the map, going down one by one. Those crossbows are annoying, but oh well. Yeah, especially if we can get that cleric gummed up down here, that'd be ideal. Try to figure out your way past that one. The only downside is here is that we're starting to get higher up on levels, so these fights are getting a little harder. And we had that kind of brief, awesome moment around 30 with the knight where it was just dominating. At this point, we need the crafting book from this place in order to be able to keep this build viable. Otherwise, we're gonna get stuck right up again. But that was one of the benefits of going down this way. And like, I knew that we'd get something out of this one. I knew there was some reason that I knew there was the important one. I mean, it wasn't even for this run, and I thought it was shield craft or armor craft or something like that before. But that got moved to Farampa, so whatever. Dex card. Yeah, I think Dex cards are still probably the most valuable commodity at this point. Dex and vet cards, because our Dex is still relatively low, so that's a nice accuracy and damage boost. That guy is gonna be a problem. Ideally, I want to deal with a blue guy, and then deal with a dragon. And then that should be all of them pulled away. Now I've got part of a Taurus song stuck in my head. It was one of the lines, like the sea had pulled away, like small children would play, and then something about fish. It was more or less a song of the Viking Empire falling apart. Which, if you ever want a pretty dang solid mix of orchestral and metal, it's the song's called "The End of an Empire" by Taurus. I think it's supposed to be like Twittisas or something. But anywho, so that's a sweet weekend we got there. It's gone now. This. Let's see. Let's just do it this way, because it should draw the blue guy around the back. And if all goes well, we. Oh, yeah, never mind. He's not doing a basic attack. Well, so much for getting that 100. Not so worried about that guy. He can just do his thing. Really, the big threats here are going to be the blue guy, the dragon, and that. The one ogre in the back, or the cyclops in the back. Is he technically classed as an ogre? I don't remember. It's possible. I mean, he's basically a reskin of the cyclops. Oh, he's a Baylor. See, the one-eyed giant, adept at these things, just in case it's an... Oh, wait. I forget what I think it was supposed to be a reference to Lord of the Rings. This guy. Did that guy find a way across? Yes, he did. Okay, perfect, actually. Because this means we can drop another phalanx over here. Means that we can delay them even more. Actually, that's better than them running around the entire map, even. Alright, that guy's apparently stuck. Couldn't tell you why, but whatever, he's stuck. I guess he just doesn't have to jump for one reason or another. That does come with the downside that we need to go in there and finish him off, though. And unfortunately, that's looking a little risky. Hang on. One sec. Okay, and back. It's looking like the kiddos might be completely up soon. So if that winds up being happening, or if that winds up being a thing, then we're just gonna... I'm probably just gonna off-screen the rest of the Fire Temple. But that's no worry. Not really missing very much. So, the coolest map, I feel like, in this entire temple is the next one, where you've got the fight coming in from two angles. You've got the two giant staircases. The actual boss isn't too much of a thing, because like many of the other ones, he's basically an ogre guy with some extra... Well, he's a cyclops, but he's got some extra movement range on him. So he just kind of runs forward, spams the usual fire abilities, gets close, gets himself completely wrecked. The only difference is, like, the only unique thing with him is the fact that he's classed as a fairy instead of a instead of a beast unit. So there's that. Do I get my turn now, please? Thank you. Got very close to dying. Probably wasn't really worth taking that risk. And at this point, I want to go pick up that bag, but it's not going to be safe. So we need to retreat back to here, I think. In fact, there's potentially a cool option of going to fight them all in the lava. Alright, what I want to do then... I don't want them to have any excuse to go that way, so we're just going to drop this here. And run over here, I think. Let's run over here. I mean, they're going to hit us one way or the other with ranged attacks. And this still leaves them with avenues to get through, but not very quick ones. So it's going to take them multiple rounds to get through each of those phalanxes. Alright, thank you for repeatedly hitting with your moves, sir. Alright. I'm getting close to having this under control, though. There's a reason that I decided to go this route. Alright, now one of the problems that we are currently experiencing is this dragon. I would like to be able to completely lock it away to prevent it from doing damage, but we'll just have to deal with it for now. So we need to get up to these stairs. They're going to be the main plan running forward here. So this guy might hit us with another Frighten. We got to deal with this dragon's bullcrap. Especially because, of course, he spawned in with boulders. They all spawn in with dang boulders. I need to ask Rakes if there were any plans to tone down the boulders, because seriously, they are everywhere. It's kind of annoying. I guess it's cool at first, but it's kind of at the point now where every one of them is a walking artillery cannon. It's less annoying in terms of damage because it's not like they do that much, but the fact that they keep spawning with them. Because it'll always go for the option that's most convenient for them. So, you know. Anywho. What we can do at this point is just drop a phalanx. Neat. Okay, so now we get to the stairs. Now we go deal with Mr. Casty Guy up here. What is the dog getting into? Okie dokie. Yeah, apparently the dog is trying to get into the trash. I'm gonna go put him away for a little bit. It's been an annoying thing. So, let's see. Isn't it traditional that dragons fear for their fire breath kill human upstarts with rocks? Of course it is. It's exactly how all the lore works. Oh, wait a minute. That's a problem. Actually, it's not a problem. Never mind. Misreading the stairs here. Alright, so those 4 guys are just completely out of the fight for now. They're not even going to bother. I want to deal with this guy so he stops throwing melt all the time. After that's gone, we need to deal with the Cyclops, and then, yeah, we'll eventually deal with the dragons. It's annoyingly running around on the lava instead of anywhere else. I was hoping that it would just kind of get stuck wandering around trying to get up the stairs, but it's decided not to. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping the boulders find some other way to be worked in. Alright, we should be safe to just go after this guy. Drop a phalanx right there. I don't want to completely block off their route, but I don't want them to be able to move anywhere either. Oh, for God's sake, man. Didn't expect him to have that much range on his tail lash, which it's got infinite vertical. I should have expected it. Okay, if they get a crit, then we might be in trouble. If not, we should be fine. Or he's got a friggin' missile 4 on him. You know. That's fine too. This is fine. We're fine. Nothing was wrong whatsoever. Yeah, I don't really care about that guy as much anymore. This one needs to go. There's the buff squad at the bottom of the map doing that sweet dance. Yeah, man. The Japanese version, like the original Japanese version, was wild with that. They would do this full time. Like right now, the way that the AI works, or at least for the US version and the European version, is just they'll buff if they've got nothing better to do. In the Japanese version, they viewed buffing as an absolute priority, so they would basically go and just spend all of their first few turns just throwing out every buff they had, which was incredibly time-consuming, and that's probably why it ended up getting changed for this version. Vision hasn't really changed anything AI-wise. Apparently they've discovered parts of where the AI is, but not all of it, so they can't really do too much with it, aside from assign them a pre-made kind of template, which is where you get their spawn preferences, how they're going to act, all that kind of thing, but it's only the pre-made stuff that's available so far. Both down to a reasonable degree, but I'm thinking just Bear Claw. Wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? Siege Bear Claw, and that should finish him off. What the hell am I doing with his non... Yeah, there we go. Look at the icon and I looked at it wrong. Which, by the way, for whom may concern, the no chariot rule is basically you can't go back and do anything. Anything that the game does not consider a chariot use is fine. So, for example, in that case, where it was still my turn, going back to the beginning of the turn is still kosher, because those kinds of moments will happen where you've got like 80 billion turns in a row and you don't feel like redoing the entire fight because there was suddenly a better option that you didn't notice in the first split second. Or you misread an icon, or you missed one of the 50 bajillion debuffs, or maybe one of the tiles was slightly different from where you thought it was, that kind of stuff. Alright, let's see. It's cool with the AI. I always thought it has a lot of potential. With the Darkiverse status never really being exploited. Yeah, I mean, what the AI does, they always try to get the highest score for their turn, so to speak. So each of the buffs and debuffs has some unknown assigned value. And this value seems to apply for both like defensive benefits as well as how threatening it is. So for example, if you have Strengthen turned on, the AI will almost always go out of its way to dispel that. However, even if they have, like, let's say Tabula Rasa, and they can shake off a breach, they won't, because they don't view breach as a threat, even though it's a really threatening move. So they view poison as a threat because it's slowly taking away their damage, but again, for whatever reason, they just don't see breach as an issue. The same thing goes for curse. They don't really care about getting rid of that. Fear, they'll try to, but in vanilla the options are limited. So, either way, there's, you know, pre-assigned scores for all that stuff. So, and if you may have noticed that in One Vision, many of the moves got moved around to maybe be combined with something else, or maybe have some additional benefit, or whatnot. All of that is kind of an attempt to both make them more interesting, as well as give the AI a reason to use them. Hang on one quick second. Okay, and back yet again. Yeah, the breakfast adventures have begun. Well, I mean, they've been going on for a minute. Alright, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go here, pick up this thing before they have a chance to get rid of it. That's fine, that's another 1k. So you understand how rakes change the burst condition. The AI definitely become more scary and finally led me to prioritize offensive mages. I mean, it's always been scary, it's just the context that it's taking place in, it hasn't always worked that way. So Averse really should have been, probably should have mechanically been made similar to how Frighten works. But basically Averse worked the same as Breach. So you got a damage bonus if using that particular thing. However, since bonus damage is applied after the main damage calculation is done, you had a case where it wasn't really getting past any kind of damage thresholds. So, for example, casters for most of the vanilla game, unless you had gone and specifically optimized them with the right kinds of, class gains and things like that. Like if you had gone and raised them all as spellblades and then put them into casters and then put them into clerics and then put them into warlocks and then put them into necromancers or some crap. Like you just went and did the rounds and got them through all the different caster classes and then maybe put them up with a few others just for good measure, then potentially you could wind up with good offensive casters because they would finally be able to get past threshold. Because the spell's powers themselves were relatively weak-ish. Like the first ones were a little bit high for the low damage threshold, and then the medium ones kind of had a hard time getting past defenses. Over time, this ended up compounding to the fact that most offensive casters just kind of bounced off by the endgame. And then had their debuffs buffed severely, which I want to say must have been intentional. Alright, because there really were not that many super effective classes for casters for most of the series. It's always been kind of on the weaker end as far as direct attacks. But the debuffs have been the main strength there, especially when they mix together the wizard and the witch. And then kind of turned the Warlock and Siren into the Warlock and Witch. I don't really know what that was all about, but either dang ways, what it kind of all boils down to is this guy actually going to do stuff. Interesting. So kind of what it all boils down to is, once you got to tier 3 and 4s, they might be able to do some stuff, or they might do nothing. Or once you got summons, it either insta-killed stuff or just didn't hit at all. It was kind of funky, but I guess from a certain point of view, you could kind of make sense of why they did it that way. Because they were trying to both reference several other games at the same time, while also trying to somehow find a middle ground between all of them, while also trying to maintain the fact that casters in general just are not direct damage powerful for the most part. I mean, with exception to Orba in the original Let Us Cling Together version, because that dude, his casting wasn't the threat. Him countering and insta-killing somebody with his frickin' walking stick was the actual threat there. But, anywho. Oh, you're done with your breakfast? Well, good job. Put it in the plate. Or put it in the sink. Thanks, brain. Go put the plate in the plate. That makes so much sense. But yeah, so for example, in the case of Averses, they were always there, and they always function the same way. All the mechanics are the same, it's just the numbers that got moved around. So in this case, you can flop around 2 different elements, and you have a more interesting result because the Averses actually, you actually notice the bonus damage off them. In the original, in many cases, it's either you were already doing enough that it really isn't going to be the thing that changed it, or you were doing one and it still won't be the thing that changes it. If you happen to be right in the middle, in that sweet spot there, you might have that moment where you noticed it, but yeah. And this guy's got forbidden moves. Why? We're in the Fire Temple and you've basically got the frickin' Hell spell, right? A little bit confused, are we? Yeah, but for anyone wondering, by the way, I don't know if it's the same folks that have been around since the beginning of the stream here, but the reason that they're spamming so many dark moves is because dark has a damage bonus, and a lot of the units in here are orcs, which will basically prioritize their dark moves over their other elements because of that damage bonus. Because the general idea is that dark does more damage, while light is better at recovering. So there's that. And please stop spamming that move. Okay, and back. There's a whole lot of loudness involving a toddler with a truck, and... So they're definitely all well and proper getting ready for the chaos of the day. So what I'm going to do, we're going to wrap this up, and then yeah, I'm just going to off-screen the rest of it. I'm going to show the next map, but going to mute it for a minute. Okay, and back. You know, I ran into the most oddly specific thing yesterday. Forgot to mention it earlier. But, so, I've been doing various kinds of business and whatever else with eBay for pretty much forever. But you run into the weirdest friggin' scams off there. So, basically as an attempt to get some bills covered with a whole bunch of expenses coming in right now, I took a few hundred masks that we had put together, as well as a few hundred baby blankets and that kind of thing. We were individually selling them on Etsy and stuff like that since forever, but I mean, it's like 2 sales a month. It's ridiculously slow, so I figured, okay, we put a few hundred on there, put them up as a bulk sale, all well and good. But for whatever dang reason, every time I put them up, the thing ends up getting hijacked by this, I don't even really know what the hell you'd call them. Like, it's just Nigerian scammers, more or less. I'm assuming Nigerian, because the accent that they call with definitely sounds that. But they'll essentially call in, they'll have a bad connection every time, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I totally want to go buy this thing. I'm, gonna go make the payment right now. Oh, by the way, can you also include an Apple gift card? Just, a few $100 just for the hell of it. Why not? I'll make sure to pay you for it. It's this extra stuff. And then they send you a fake confirmation screen that just kind of has whatever the person's name is, sloppily slapped on there with, like, I'm assuming MS Paint or some crap. I was like, oh yeah, no, I totally sent you the thing. Look at that, it's so good, it's so accurate. And then if you try to call them out on it, for some reason they send a picture of, like, I'm assuming some random lady they found online, and then pretend it was supposed to go to another person. It's so weird. It's so friggin' bizarre. But anyway, okay, so first off, for this one, we're gonna do stuff a little differently. Gonna lose some avoidance here. Gonna gain some resistance and gonna gain some threshold. Do I want deflect? Do I really want that, actually? Apparently that counts as a spell shield, interestingly enough. I thought... Oh, it must be the altered shield that counts as the heavy version. Alright, well, okay, then we won't do that. Unless... Does it give a health bonus? No. Alright, never mind. Whatever. So there's two maps left of this one. I'm going to show what I can of this next fight. It's definitely a bit of a longer one. The final boss is... it's not short. I mean, it's definitely not as easy as the last one where the guy has friggin' 9 movement and flies all the way across and just dies. Maybe we should have set up for Dragon Slayer here. Alright. Did we get the spawn? Yeah, there's the guy. So this is a really cool map. Like, you got staircases all over the place. Their healer is, let's just say, in suboptimal position to be helping anybody. So there's that. We can also just drop some phalanxes and lock these guys away. General plan for this one is to run forward, fight these guys, secure the crafting book early, try to get in here and block off the main passageway as quickly as possible. If not, take the left staircase and just kind of hunker down up there. And then just let them trickle in. In fact, it almost makes sense to... Actually, no, it makes sense to go for the right one first, because then we don't even have to deal with the Warlock before all his BS starts. Hope you like rocks, because they've got rocks. I like this music. It always reminds me of something like Kingsfield. So we'll throw out a siege. Hopefully they'll respond with a Melta. Because Melta just gives us breach. They can't usually get past defenses anyway, so it's not as much of a thing. Yep. Nice. And in fact, if we get lucky here, might be able to even throw some people off. Please, oh please give me turns. I want to shield bash some douchebag off a cliff. Alright. So here's what we do, right? Might be wondering, hey, you can't even get within range. Don't need to. So he either stays where he is, or he takes one of the 2 tiles that lets him get shield bash off a cliff. Which, I mean, I guess if he decides to move left, that's a problem, but hopefully he decides to stay where he is, and then, you know, get to have some amusement out of that. But yeah, as soon as the kiddos start acting up here, just muting it. If they start having issues, then we're just going to cut it off. Because it is longer than I'd like it to be at the moment. How can I help you, little dude? What's up? Stuff and things, what are you doing?
Alright, so to briefly cover it between yells about a wagon here, the general plan here is to not necessarily keep these guys out, but actually lock them inside. So this guy goes away, we take his stuff, they move in, we lock them inside here, then fly away, go deal with the priest, probably shove him off a cliff, and then circle back to deal with the stragglers from the opposite end. That's the current plan. Anyway, go and mute again. Well, first loss in a while, but that was some nonsense. Not only did they get their double tail lash, they got empowered and double turned. That's new. Well, hopefully get the this one next time too. Anyway, go and mute again. Yeah, I mean that'll happen. It'll happen every now and then. Just because this this kind of setup does require a whole lot of hoping for turns to line up just right. In that particular case, the dragon is just going to be a relatively fast unit on its own, and unfortunately, a Beastmaster snuck up right in there, ended up getting his empower off. So it'll happen. It'll happen. It's kind of the nature of the beast, so to speak. I mean, again, it certainly beats some of the crap in vanilla. Because, dude, the most frustrating dang thing was a case where you literally could not get stop ward off for any point in vanilla, because fairies and crap like that would triple turn you and then have and then immediately circle back, use their turn reset move to the point where they will. I think the most I ever saw was them getting 5 turns in a row. It sucks. That mess was just unpleasant. So, yeah. Now we'll, I think we'll deal with the gunner early this time, as he was doing a bit more damage than I would have liked last time. And looks like we're going to be being hit with Melta one way or the other, and gunners are one of the few things that are actually going to be benefiting from that, because they kind of benefit from always getting past damage threshold. See, the funny thing is, we can't always... Oh, wait, what? Hang on, wait a minute. This guy's... I'm not trying to cancel the turn here, but this guy is steadfast? I was gonna say we can get revenge on him from last time, but yeah, apparently this guy came in with steadfast. Yeah, I guess you can't put that on a Beastmaster. I was literally just training a Beastmaster that had it. I mean, I don't get why they would have it, but sure, I guess. Dang it. That's a little bit annoying. He's about to be real confronted with that one. And the other guy, funnily enough, doesn't have it, so we could have shoved him off a cliff, but... oh well. This is looking good so far. They're pretty much completely jammed up, so all we gotta do is lock this guy away in a corner, make sure nobody else can walk over to where he is, which he gladly put himself there on his own. So we just sit over here, drop our phalanx right there, repeatedly heal, and worst case scenario, we have the option to retreat up to that tower over on the left. So this is one of the very few cases where longbow cheese would legitimately be possible. Didn't bring one, but, you know, something that could theoretically work. I might actually come back here when doing all of the post-everything, or post-temple grind and whatever else for the extra stuff you can find in the background, and see if by any chance we might be able to get a hold of some of that stuff. Okay, this guy doesn't have steadfast, so we'll see what happens here. And he gets a crit. What a douche. Okay. So what we do... I guess we don't really even need to use a phalanx there, do we? Say hello to this guy. Wait, what? Hang on. I just checked him for steadfast. Why does he... What? Okay, that is a bug. I'm allowing a reset for that one because that's a bug. He does, unless I'm missing something here, he does not have steadfast, but he has the steadfast effect. Because shields are 100% knockback. And you might be saying, you know, heavy Lorica that used to have steadfast on it. I'm thinking that's what it is. Because heavy Lorica doesn't, or the heavy line, or the powered armor line doesn't have steadfast anymore. That got taken away a while ago, but yeah, it either isn't supposed to have it, or doesn't say that it has it, or something. Either way, I'll ask Rakes about it later. See if we can get that figured out. But yeah, the turn didn't end, so reset's fair anyway. I mean, usually if I take an action, I won't reset the turn anyway. But in that case, I mean, the entire purpose of the move was to knock him off the cliff, and he has an effect that, by all rights, it doesn't look like he should actually have. So yeah, I'll ask Rix about that. See if it is really bugging out, or if I'm missing something here. Who knows? Either or is possible. Alright, that should be the crafting book. Drop another base right there, and then we're gonna have to get flying pretty soon. A fusel enchilada. Gotta love when you have so many debuffs that it basically turns into a slideshow. Also, I'd say this whole dealing with dragons throwing rocks thing might be a pretty strong case for carrying around deflect from now on. That's probably going to end up being a rule here. Problem is I need to just sit here and heal until finally either leaden wears off, or we heal enough to be able to afford the turn to fly up there. Because what I want to do is we bring them in close. We keep this area completely locked off. We drag in as many units as... Actually, I don't really want to move forward there at all. We drag as many units in as possible, get them all stuck here, and then deal with the weak ones from behind. I don't want to deal with the dragons right now. It's going to give them another round of crimson notes and crap like that, but... What can you do? Hello, Luke. Long time no see. Alright, so this is going to be a little bit of a risk. What I'm hoping is, yeah, this won't give him any kind of additional points, so he'll just go for a regular attack. There's a chance that a crit will finish him off here if I take one step off to the left. I'm hoping I'm out of range of anything else. And of course he crits. Why wouldn't he crit on the one turn he needs to not crit? So hopefully we get at least a couple blocks here, and then from here should be able to just withstand. Yeah, it's doable. It's gonna take some RNG though, because the problem is they got a leaden off. Hang on. Well, it's actually wrapping up at the moment. This was all kind of overtime type stuff because I wanted to show off that map. So I think this is the answer to it, because Evasion's not doing jack here anyway, because they seem to have agility through the dang roof. So basically going full worm scale on it gives basically gives free Dragon Slayer. I can just use that instead of what I've been doing. Anyway, it's getting loud on this end, so I gotta wrap it up. Probably should have wrapped it up about 20 minutes ago, but anyway, have yourselves a good one. Take care. Bye.